Welcome back to the What the Falk Sunderland preview show. Another massive weekend win ensured that Sunderland are still top of the league and will head to Kenilworth Road, top of the league this Wednesday, which I never get bored of saying, as they visit Luton Town for the first time in about, 18 months, 2 years. And it's been a topsy-turvy start for Luton, but it was a good weekend, so we're going to get the lowdown on what we can expect this Wednesday. I've got the date right this week. From one of our favourite returning guests and a debutant. We've got two this week, two for the price of one. Dave, first and foremost, nice to have you back. How are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for having us back on. I would have rather not been on, if you know what I mean. I'd rather have stayed in the Premier League, but sadly, that wasn't for us. So yeah, I'm looking forward to our chat.
Overrated anyway. Steve, you're a debutant. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very good, thanks. Yeah, I think I've heard several people say about the Premier League that quite often the journey is better than the destination, and I think there were times that we felt like that last season, weren't there?
Yeah, true enough. The journey was fantastic, and some of the games were great, and then some of them were just like, are we ever going to score, or are we ever going to win? And we took a lot of flack last season, didn't we? We made a lot of friends, put it that way. We took a lot of flack by, we weren't going to beat Derby's record. Well, we sorted that. We weren't going to win a game. Well, we sorted that. We weren't going to be any good in the Premier League. And you know what? We sort of were, but we were our own problem really at the end of the day. We didn't win enough. We didn't score enough, and it's our own fault that we didn't stay up. But for me personally, I had a great season. I enjoyed everything I did, and I thought when we got relegated, we might have a better season. But it's not.
We still may, but it's early days, especially even early days for even those top of the league.
Steve, well, yes, I like saying that. And that's the third time I've mentioned it. Let's hope I can keep on doing it till May. Steve, I'll come to you since you're the debutant. I'll give you the right of passage here. But it has been a topsy-turvy start for Luton, and we'll get into that. But let's start straight from the top, right? If there's ever a time you want to be in a preview show or a podcast to talk about your football club, it's when you've just absolutely duffed your rivals 3-0. Yeah. I had a laugh. Look, I know you won't like this, but I've got a few Watford friends who I get on with, but their admin, I'm not a big fan of. He egg on his face at the weekend again, and you enjoyed a 3-0 win. So, look, how was the performance? Because it sounded like it was quite good.
Do you know what, Graham? It was the Luton that we've been for the last 5 or 6 years. So far this season, it's been very pedestrian. There's been no or very little aggression, tempo, drive, and a lot of fans have just wondered, why? What's going on? Because by and large, it's the same people there for the championship season when we went up through the playoffs. There's sort of 7 or 8 still there, and a couple of upgrades. But we haven't been doing that way. I mean, we absolutely surrendered against Sheffield United. We gave them the easiest day possible. There was no pressing the ball that their players could just take as long as they wanted, pick out a pass, control it, look up, and it really was nothing like what we've been. And there's been so much talk on social media and, I think within the club itself about getting back to basics and getting back to what we are. And from the kickoff, you could just see immediately within 10 seconds that the old Luton was back on the pitch at that moment. They took kickoff and they had 3 passes, and every single pass they made, the Luton player was on them. They were hunting them down, and the aggression was there from the very first second. And you could just tell that they were back at that moment, and it just carried on and carried on. And that they had no answer, Graham. They were pretty pitiful. I'm not just saying it because of who they are, but they were pitiful. They just weren't up for the fight. And we just dominated the game, really.
It's interesting you say that, because the next question I had wrote down, Dave, funnily enough, I read everywhere on social media. That felt like Luton. I've seen that a lot. It hasn't been a great start for you, but look, we're in October. We've had a great start, which is brilliant, but we know how long the season is to go, as do you. How much does the win feel like a marker in the sand and kind of a blueprint for the rest of the season for you?
I think actually we've discussed this ourselves, and we've not come down from the Premier League thinking we're Bobby Big Boys now. We haven't. But but we expected to start better than we have. And some of with the exception of Portsmouth away, where I thought had Morris not had to go off and had we had not had our goalkeeper sent off, we would have won that game quite easily.
Yep.
But the home form has been poor. The performances have been poor. And we was thinking this is make or break. You know, if we can't beat Watford, then we might be in for a turgid season. And, you know, you couldn't see a way forward. The football has been poor up until then. There have been games we've not been in. We've been in the games and we've made so many silly errors that have conceded goals for us. And it wasn't like we were last season or the season before when we got promoted. We haven't been playing with that intensity. Say that word for me.
Intensity.
Thank you. And
that's why I'm here, Graham.
Translate it. And
you're doing well.
You know, we haven't shown that up until Saturday at Watford, and I think obviously all the fans want that to happen. We want them now to say this has started our season, and then we look at our next fixture and think, oh my God, Sunderland are coming to town. We need to play as good as, and maybe even better than we played against Watford to get something out of it. So the whole euphoria of our win against our bitter rivals on Saturday, which was brilliant, by the way. And I did text you, didn't I? I said I was in the pub celebrating afterwards.
Yeah.
But we have to get that form to play you guys. And we also know as fans that half our team are injured. And that makes it even worse. I mean, 4 fell on Saturday during the game. We had no centre-backs available at the end of the game apart from McGuinness. Did McGuinness stay on? I can't remember. I think he did. But, you know, all our centre-backs were injured. Some of our midfielders got injured. It was like they were dropping like flies. And they put so much effort in. So, yeah, it's a line in the sand for us, but we need to kick on because we've got you guys, we've got Coventry, we've got West Brom and then Norwich.
What I would say though, Dave, we're not demanding that we win every game, but we are demanding that level of intensity and pressure and controlled aggression, because that is what we've done over the last 5 or 6 years. That's why we've gone through the divisions. And, you know, I think regardless of what style of play you've got, that should be the bare minimum you can expect of your team to really go for it and put the effort in.
I wanted to try this one at you, Dave. Sorry to interject, but it's mainly because I really remember our conversation at the time when we played each other in the League One playoff semis. I remember saying, like, promotion would have been wild for us because of the role that we'd been on, but you were like the established championship team that had kind of been on the cusp of doing something for a while. And I said, you know, what does promotion mean to you? What would it mean if you got the Premier League? And outside of all that kind of, well, it'll be nice because we haven't been there before, you said, look, it could help you with the new ground. When you come back down, you then become like if you come back down, so you could then potentially become like one of the bigger fish with a bit more money, parachute payments, or you could follow Brentford. As you touched on before, it probably feels a bit overrated at times, but how much has it helped other factions of the club, like new stadium, having actual funds? And because Luton's had should we say, a checkered history with funds and relegations and all that over the past 10, 20 years?
Well, the allegations that caused 30 points, that was poor ownership from someone who just wanted to fleece the club. But having said that, and I'm confident in that when we went up, you're right, we've got hundreds of millions of pounds. We've never had that before. We don't feel like we need to be a selling club anymore, although we can sell players. We broke our transfer record, and I know you'll smile, you know, it's only £10 million for a player, right? But we broke our transfer record last season 5 times, you know, on the trot. We're financially sound. The ground is going up. They've started clearing the spaces now. They've started getting things going on the site. So the ground is going up. We're getting parachute payments. I think, was it 70 odd million pounds for 3 seasons if we don't go up? Of course it's going to help us. We are not going to be in that position where, like previously, you know, you get relegated and someone comes, oh, I'll take Adebayo for you. I'll take Carlton Morris. I'll take Clicker. And we won't pay you very much because we know you need the money. And now we don't. If anything, agents probably play a bigger role because we've got some money. But it's secured our club. You know, it is generally secured our club. And because we're financially sound, we don't have to worry about our club not being here in 10 seasons' time. If we hadn't been promoted, we hadn't got really good backers like we had with 2020. I don't know what the future of Luton Town would have been. And I don't know. I'm assuming we could have still funded the stadium, but there would have been a big debt there. And I don't think I think they saved £100 million to pay for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, financially secure. That's what the Premier League is. If we bounce up again, even more secure. We have to follow those models of Brentford, of Bournemouth and the like. So we have to follow those models.
Norwich have done it.
And Brighton. And if we can get up there, and because let's be fair, if Sunderland get promoted, they've got a massive stadium, they've got a massive fan base, they will fill that every week without fail. They'll make lots of money. They'll get some decent sponsorship and they'll get some decent investment off the back of it. We've got an 11,000-seater stadium, which when you come down to Kenilworth Road on Wednesday, anybody who's travelling down, it's different now. You won't even believe. I can't believe we played under those stupid floodlights before we got promoted.
Yeah.
Now it's like daytime when you're in there at night. It's incredible.
I think my Subbuteo set had better floodlights when I was a kid, to be honest with you.
Kenilworth Road.
You could afford them? I couldn't afford them.
People laugh at our stadium. They've laughed at it in the Premier League. But you know what? It's improved. It's a nicer stadium. It's brighter. It's safe standing. So we've made all those improvements. We're also ready to go in our new stadium. They're starting on it. If you've seen the plans, they're awesome. And we was going to originally build a 15 to 20,000. Now it's going to go in at 25, which is probably about our limit, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And I can't wait. And I just hope it doesn't take too long. I think they're sort of thinking 2 years for that to go up.
Yeah.
But, I've waited since 1969 to see it start. And I think the first time they put plans out, Steve, was around about 1954 or something like that. And this is the first time we've got this close to having a new stadium. So all of that rides off the back of brilliant management and the money from the Premier League, because without that, we wouldn't be in this position without fail.
I think one thing I wanted to speak about as well, and I'll pass this one to Steve. It was a pain in the arse in the League One playoff semi-final, but obviously it was absolutely awful to see what happened to Tom Lockyer. I don't think anyone ever wants to see that. Delighted that obviously he's well. Nothing serious happened in terms of things we won't speak about. But as a Sunderland fan, I haven't heard much since. I've seen he's been in a few photos. I saw he enjoyed the win on Saturday. How's he doing? Is he all right? Is it a chance of him coming back anytime soon? Where are we at with it?
Yeah, he's doing sensationally well. He's done sort of all the rehab work. He's as fit as a fiddle. He's back in amongst the players at the training ground. And I think that's really good therapy for a player as well. That there's nothing on the horizon that has come out from the club about him sort of stepping up and becoming like a squad player again at this point. But I'm sure that is his agenda, and probably Luton's as well. But he's in a really good place. He's been assured that everything is absolutely crystal clear. Everything is good to go. He's fit as a fiddle, raring to go. But do you know what, Graham? It's great having him just around the changing rooms, because he is a born leader. And this is one of the things that we've missed in the early part of the season. That warrior or someone to tell you that you're not doing enough, maybe on occasions. And he is absolutely invaluable, and he'll be even more invaluable to us if he can be doing that on the pitch sometime in the future. But he's in a really good place, bearing in mind where he was. Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Good to hear. I want to stick with you on this one as well, Steve, because look, there's a manager I've got a lot of time for. Rob Edwards. I think he represents your club really well. I think he represents himself very well. I think he comes across considered. And I think when we're talking about the situation with Tom Lockyer last year, I think if you watched any kind of level of football, you saw that. And I think as difficult as it was to watch, again, I think he represented Luton and himself incredibly well in that moment. But I saw he was getting a little bit of stick. But look, this is Twitter. Twitter's not a barometer for many things because of the start of the season that you had. Where's he at with Luton fans at the minute? Is that just a Twitter outrage? Are you still loving him?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, Graham, I think there's keyboard warriors all over the world, whatever team it is.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone that wants him to be sacked. There's no one at all that wants him to fail. You know, he's had such a long honeymoon period. You know, he came to us when Nathan Jones decided the grass was greener again. So off he went. And we really saw the club being portrayed in a different image when he took over. There was a humbleness about him. And, you know, I just felt that the club was being sort of portrayed in a much better way. You know, he done the magnificent work getting us up through the playoffs, you know, straight away. And I think the Premier League was a free hit for him. But as the season progressed, we gave it such a good go in nearly every game. I mean, there might have been one sort of 4-0 spanking, something like that. But, you know, like Sheffield United were getting done every week heavily. And it was a free hit for him, but the support for him was absolutely relentless. And I think, yeah, with going down to the Championship, there was like a hope and an expectation that we're going to see some wins, we're going to see some goals. But what I don't think we were ready for was what we felt was the change, where we were no longer doing the press and the intensity and the aggression and stuff like that. And I think everyone was a little bit bewildered by it. And I think it's the first time as well where Rob Edwards probably thought, I've really got to be delivering. You know, we've come down. I've been backed in the transfer market in the previous year. I think he probably put pressure on himself. He wanted to change the tactics slightly. It wasn't working, you know, and I think that the 2-week break that we've just had was absolutely perfectly timed for the club, because we're that awful display against Sheffield United where we just rolled over and had our bellies rubbed. But then we had 2 weeks to almost maybe sort of find ourselves again and get back to what we'd been doing. But he's getting stick, but not off the genuine fans. You know, there's a lot of people like myself and Dave and, you know, a couple of other pods where we'll talk about things constructively, but I don't feel that there's slagging off or a hope for him to fail, because that's far from the truth. We're still very much with him.
Do you feel like it's maybe an inferiority complex between some men because he's such a handsome fella?
Well, he did get some big votes and some really iconic TikToks going out about him. He all over him. So
I mean, last Valentine's Day there was you could get Robbie Edwards Valentine's Day cards, and my wife insisted that she got one. So yeah, if you got it, flaunt it. I haven't.
I mean, there's a reason I do an audio podcast. Dave, a really quick one before going to like just Sunderland and we would kind of finish off. But I actually predicted us to win the league. I don't know why. It was a mixture of thinking Rob Edwards was a good manager. You didn't lose that much, and that like everyone expected Burnley and stuff like that. Look, you're 17th, but anything can happen. But at the minute, it's not looking like you might win the league. But what would success be for Luton? Because I feel like Luton are a bit different to a Burnley or a Sheffield United, where like if you don't get promoted this season, I don't feel like you're going to turn the world upside down and demand the entire club gets thrown in the river. I feel like you've got an expectation where, you know, you want a certain level of success, like any any supporter. But what would success be this year? What is the difference between success and a poor season for you?
I think anything outside the top 6 would be a disappointment for me personally. I think look, as I said earlier, we didn't expect to come down and dominate the division. We're not that silly, because, you know, look, we were the best of the 3 that got promoted, and now we're the worst of the 3 that got relegated. And it makes me wonder what has changed in that period of time. So for us personally, get out of the relegation areas, start moving up. But there's always that one team, isn't there? There's always that one team that starts a little slow progress up the stage. I'm not saying we can win the league. I think that would be silly. I'm not saying we can get automatic promotion, but we might. You don't know. You just don't know at this stage. But there are stronger teams at this stage of the season already. So I would like to think we would be fighting for those top 6 places, or at least the playoff places, or towards the playoff places. If we don't make it this season, then it sets us up well for the following one. So I think, you know, we're not expecting promotion, but we're expecting to be competitive. And at this stage, we haven't been. So I think for anything like that, I think that's where we want to be. We want to be up the top fighting with you guys at the moment. Obviously, we're far behind you at the minute. And anything below that will be a disappointing season. anything that means we're struggling will be a devastating season. And I don't see us in that area yet. But, like I said, I did actually call the wrong fixtures earlier. We've got a tough batch of fixtures coming up, but we have got Cardiff and we have got Coventry.
Yeah. Who aren't doing well.
Yeah. So, in 6-7 weeks' time, we might be in that top 5, top 6. And then you start thinking, well, maybe now we can push forward. Maybe we can progress a little bit more. And maybe we can challenge, because no one expected us, let's be fair, no one expected us last time we was in this division to challenge for promotion in the way that we did.
No.
So there's always that one team. I hope it's us. I hope we find our form. But stay out of the relegation area. Don't be mid-table doing nothing. Let's challenge. And if you don't make those playoff places, at least have a go at getting there. Yeah. So that's where I think we want to be.
Yeah. I mean, very quickly, Graham, as well, we lost 2 central midfielders. Lokonga went back to Arsenal, who we had on loan last season, and Ross Barkley. They were so much of our identity in the Premier League. So much went through them. They were class. They were such classy players for us. And it was great that we gave Barkley the platform for him to have such a good season. But you can't replace those two. Luton can't replace those two. So I think a lot of our identity went, and that may be one of the reasons why we had a slow start.
Yeah, I think you're right with Barkley. I think he even had contention to get in the Euro squad, which shows you the kind of season that he had. But got a couple of quick fire ones. I'll stick with you on this one in regards to Sunderland. Last time we faced each other, me and Dave chatted, and we were like the young upstarts that had just came up and were kind of the big club, but we were still new to the division. You were the wily team, like I said before, who, if we're honest, were the better team of the 2 games in the playoffs. Coming into the game, you're 17th, we're first. What have you made of Sunderland start? Because you're going to be seeing a very different Sunderland to the one you last seen.
Yeah, I mean, I've not looked so closely where I know sort of all your players and how many you've got there from the last time we played each other. But it seems like you've still got that sort of style where, you're looking to play a passing, expansive game. It looks like you got some pace in the right areas. I'm sure there'll be threats coming from all over the pitch. I think if we've got that level of intensity and pressure, it can unsettle teams and cause passes to go astray. But we're expecting a really, really difficult game. Undoubtedly, we're expecting a really difficult game because you've been picking up points at home and away from home, so we're under no illusion.
Yeah, we're doing all right. It's kind of worrying, actually. It's a bit unnerving at points. But I feel like look, prediction-wise, I'm not going to lie to you. I think even before the game on Saturday and the result you had, I think it's a difficult game. And I said on our review show, like when I was asked a few of the lads, can we win it? Should we win it? And said, yeah, we can, because, Luton's not had the best start. And we've shown that we can beat anyone in this league. But we all kind of collectively agreed we'd take a draw. And that's where my prediction's going, and I'd be happy with it. I'm going 1-1, but I have a feeling it'll be a case of one of those annoying 1-1s where we score and then you equalise at the end. But how are you feeling going into it? Because I'm sure the confidence has improved off the weekend.
The biggest worry, as I think I've already said, is injuries, and we've got lots of that. So if I knew that our strong first team was going to go out and play in the manner they played against Watford, then I would predict that I would like to think that we could get a win. That's what I would say. It'd be a very narrow win, maybe a 1-0 or 2-1 or something like that. But we don't even know who's going to start yet. And we don't know how many of our injured players are going to be out there. So I suppose I would take a draw. I'd take not losing.
Yeah, I would take
first.
A draw.
Take not losing first. So if it's going to be a draw, 1-1, but can we have it that we score? If we score that in the 98th minute, I don't care. If we get a 1-1, I don't care. But I'd like to nick it. So I'm going to be brave and say that we're going to nick it 2-1. That's what I'm going to say. And I say that with all the knowledge that our team is in bits fitness-wise.
Yeah.
And you guys are on a massive roll. So you've got everything to lose. We've got everything to gain.
Steve, I'll let you fire a prediction in there as well. Are you going the same way, or are you being a bit more cautious?
I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. Yeah, I think you're going to start fast, maybe get a fairly early goal. Then it'll be a bit of a battle. We need Elijah Adebayo to get off the mark. He put in a good performance on Saturday. Put in a lot of work, but he needs a goal. He hasn't scored yet this season. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw.
I'll stick with my 1-1, but I hope it's better than that, of course. But thanks for joining us always. I hope you have a horrible Wednesday night. Outside of that, have a fantastic rest of the week. And thanks for joining us always. Good to see you.
That's great. Cheers, Graham.
Yeah, Graham, thanks for coming on. And we'll be doing our feedback for you guys on Thursday. So if you want to come up and get online and see what we're doing, please do.
And where can we find you?
Over in the Town on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Perfect. Thanks very much, chaps. Appreciate it.